You want to know why toxic people keep coming back. Because you let them. You're not addicted to peace. You're addicted to the idea that maybe, just maybe, they'll change. But they won't. They're not confused. They're consistent. And here's the truth no one tells you: the moment you stop explaining yourself is the moment toxic people lose all their power. You don't need to yell. You don't need to prove your worth. You don't need to fight to be understood by people who have already decided to misunderstand you. Let me say this loud for the people in the back: you are not a rehab center for emotionally irresponsible people. If someone shows you disrespect, and your first instinct is to explain instead of walk away, you're training them to ignore your boundaries. You're teaching them how to treat you. And they're learning fast. Toxic people don't feed on your silence. Toxic people don't want your silence. They want your reaction. That's the fuel they run on. That's their game. The moment you raise your voice, explain yourself, defend your boundaries, or justify your decisions, you hand them exactly what they want: your energy. They don't care if it's positive or negative. They just want to know they still matter. They want to know they can still get under your skin. And every time you react, they win. They don't care about your truth. They care about control. And the easiest way for them to keep control is to bait you into an emotional reaction. They know exactly what buttons to push, what tone to use, what words will trigger you. It's not an accident, it's strategy. And the second you respond, they know you're still in the game. You think staying quiet makes you weak. No, staying quiet makes you dangerous. Because silence is not the absence of power, it's the presence of self-control. It's the refusal to waste another breath explaining your worth to someone committed to misunderstanding it. Toxic people want chaos. They want drama. They want confusion. But silence. Silence is a full stop. A locked door. A final page. It's a declaration that says, I no longer accept this energy. The most powerful people in the room aren't the loudest, they're the ones who speak the least and are listened to the most. You don't need to raise your voice to raise your value. You don't need to justify your boundaries to validate them. You don't need to argue with someone who isn't interested in peace, they're addicted to the fight. And the moment you stop fighting is the moment they realize they've lost their grip on you. Every time you explain yourself to someone who thrives off your confusion, you lose a piece of your clarity. You give them a key to the mental space they were never meant to enter. And once they're in, they rearrange your peace. They move things around. They make you question yourself. But silence. Silence locks that door and throws away the key. They can't manipulate what you don't react to. They can't twist your words if you don't offer any. They can't gaslight your emotions if you stop letting them set the fire. Every time you respond to a toxic person, you give them another chance to spin the story. But when you go quiet, the story ends. There's nothing left to twist. No script to rewrite. No drama to feed on. The most unsettling thing to a manipulator is someone who no longer gives them an audience. When you stop reacting, they're left with nothing but themselves, and trust me, that's their biggest fear. Because without your energy, they have to face their own. And most of them can't handle it. They'd rather control yours than confront theirs. You want peace. Don't argue. Don't yell. Don't post about it. Just disappear from their radar. Stop picking up the phone. Stop replying to the texts. Stop explaining your silence. Let them talk to your absence. Let them hear your boundaries in the quiet. Because silence speaks. It screams. It roars. It says you no longer have access to me, and access is everything. Stop giving people VIP passes to your life just because they throw a tantrum when you say no. Start treating your energy like a luxury. Not everyone gets to experience it. Not everyone gets to be around it. Especially not the ones who drain it. You don't owe anyone an explanation for cutting off what was killing you. You don't need to sit someone down and walk them through how they disrespected you. They know. They always know. But they pretend not to, because the longer they can keep you explaining, the longer they can stay in control. Silence breaks that cycle. Silence ends the game. Silence isn't passive. It's a power play. It's you choosing yourself without debate. It's you valuing your peace more than their opinion. It's you saying, I refuse to shrink myself to fit your chaos. It's not running away. It's not avoidance. It's clarity. It's protection. It's strength. There will be people who call you cold for going quiet. Let them. They were never warm when they had access. They'll say you've changed. Good. That was the goal. They'll say you're being dramatic. No, you're being deliberate. You're choosing not to entertain what hurts you. And that's the kind of peace they can't manipulate. Silence doesn't mean nothing is happening. It means everything is. It means the old version of you, the one who explained, justified, tolerated, is gone. And what's left is someone who knows their worth and doesn't argue about it. That's what they can't handle. That's what drives them mad. Because toxic people don't want to fix things, they want to stay relevant in your mind. And the minute you go silent, they're erased, not by accident, by decision, your decision. And that kind of power, it's irreversible. It's undeniable. It's untouchable. Stop offering closure to people who gave you wounds. Stop giving words to people who use them against you. Start realizing that peace doesn't come from being heard, it comes from hearing yourself. Loud and clear, say, enough. So the next time someone crosses your line, don't react, retract. Pull back your energy. Pull back your words. Pull back your attention. Because where your attention goes, your life flows. And some people don't deserve to flow through your life anymore. When you stop talking, they start wondering. When you stop defending, they start panicking. When you stop showing up, they realize they were never the center of your world, they were just standing in the way of it. You are not obligated to water dead plants. You are not responsible for keeping broken people comfortable in your presence. You are not weak for walking away without a final word. You are wise, you are powerful. You are done. And that silence is the sound of freedom. You've been trained to feel guilty for walking away from people who were never sorry for hurting you. You've been conditioned to believe that choosing yourself is selfish, that creating distance is cruel, that silence is betrayal. But here's the truth no one ever taught you. The real betrayal is staying where you're constantly being disrespected. The real damage isn't in walking away, it's in staying too long. The strongest move you will ever make in your life is leaving without guilt. No warning. No speech. No second chances. You don't need to burn bridges when you leave. You just need to stop crossing them. The people who pushed you to your breaking point will act shocked when you finally break. They will act like the victim. They will cry about your absence and ignore their behavior that caused it. They will call you heartless for setting boundaries, even though they were the reason you built them. And they will spin your silence into a story that makes them look innocent. Let them. You don't need to defend yourself when your peace is the proof. You've spent too much time trying to be the bigger person, trying to stay kind in the face of cruelty, trying to be understanding toward people who used your empathy as a weapon. They drained you. They distracted you. They made you second guess yourself. But the moment you walked away without guilt was the moment you took your power back. That wasn't weakness. That was rebirth. People will tell you that walking away means giving up. That's not true. Walking away doesn't mean you failed. It means you finally got tired of bleeding for people who wouldn't even offer you a bandage. It means you realized your soul is not a buffet for the emotionally immature to keep coming back for seconds. It means you finally saw that peace is worth more than proximity, and peace is not found in toxic spaces. You don't owe toxic people a seat at your table just because they were there before. Some people belong to your past, not your future. And dragging them into your present is like planting poison in your own garden and wondering why nothing healthy grows. Let them go without guilt, without closure, without needing them to understand. Their understanding is not your requirement for healing. Your clarity is. When you walk away without guilt, you send a message that you've upgraded your standards. You're not the person who tolerates disrespect anymore. You're not the version of yourself who needed validation from people who never valued you. You've changed. You've grown. And your growth offends the ones who benefited from your low self-worth. That's why they try to make you feel guilty. Because your distance exposes what they never wanted to face themselves. They will say you're cold. You're not cold. You're finally warm to yourself. They will say you're dramatic. You're not dramatic. You're just done shrinking to fit places that never saw your worth. They will say you're unforgiving. But forgiveness doesn't require access. You can forgive someone and still never speak to them again. You can wish them healing from afar and still protect your peace with a locked door. You were never created to carry other people's chaos on your back. You are not a dumping ground for their dysfunction. You are not the fixer of their messes. You are not the one who has to stay silent to keep the peace, especially when that peace only benefits them. You are allowed to leave any place where your voice has to be silenced for someone else's comfort. That is not love. That is control. Walking away without guilt is not abandonment, it's alignment. It's stepping back into who you were before they confused you, before they made you question your gut, before they gaslit your intuition and made you think you were too much or too sensitive or too difficult. You are not too much. You are just too awake for people who wanted you asleep. When you walk away, people will call you everything but healed. Let them talk. Let them spin their stories. Let them scream into your absence. You don't owe anyone the version of you that had to beg for basic decency. You don't owe anyone an explanation for protecting your heart. You don't owe anyone a front row seat to your comeback just because they were in the audience during your downfall. Some people don't get to see you rise, and the more they talk, the more you need to stay silent. Because people will argue with your words, but they can't argue with your absence. Your absence is power. Your absence is proof. Your absence is the answer to every question they refuse to ask themselves. Your absence is the mirror they've been avoiding. Stop apologizing for outgrowing environments that wanted you to stay small. Stop apologizing for doing what's best for your soul. Stop apologizing for not answering texts that used to give you anxiety. Stop apologizing for walking away without guilt. That guilt was never yours to carry. If they wanted to keep you, they would have treated you better. If they wanted you to stay, they would have made the space feel safe. If they truly cared, they wouldn't have turned your kindness into currency and your silence into permission, but they did. And now you leave. You leave not because you hate them, but because you finally love yourself. You leave not because you're bitter, but because you're better off. You leave not because you're heartless, but because you're done handing your heart to people who drop it every time. You leave not because you don't care, but because caring was killing you. And when you walk away without guilt, you walk into something greater. You walk into boundaries that feel like freedom. You walk into clarity that feels like peace. You walk into spaces where you are respected, valued, appreciated, not questioned, diminished, or drained. That's what you've been missing. Not their approval, not their attention piece. They can keep their chaos. They can keep their manipulation. They can keep their half apologies and backhanded compliments and empty promises. Because you're done. You're done explaining. You're done waiting. You're done shrinking. You're done hurting. And now, you walk away, without guilt, without a word, without looking back.